All right, the mic's on. Let's see if I can keep it on this time. Yes, here we go. All right, let's turn this music down a little bit so you can hear what I'm saying. Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Wait, no, what's today? Today, I don't even know what day it is. It's Tuesday. Holy smoke. No, it's Wednesday. Hump Day. Yesterday was Wednesday. I don't know. I'm just trying to think about Friday. I'm a little preoccupied with that. And so I just hope that we get to the Friday and I'm not losing my mind. Hopefully you all are sharing Friday's stream out. I really do want to try to get 1,000 people here. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I'll have to, maybe we'll snipe some other streams and tell them to send some people over when they're done or something. We'll figure it out. But anyway, yesterday, the president gave a speech. Yes, and I call it the State of Delusion because there's a whole bunch of things in that speech and I'm like, what the actual hell are you talking about, sir? Seriously. But we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about the State of the Union today. And got lots of different opinions from a lot of different sources, some on the left, some on the right, but none of them wrong. They're all opinions. So if you want to take your take on it, I'm going to take my take on it. And let's call the whole thing off because holy shit, I want to sit back and just pretend this next 2 years ain't happening. But because it's going to happen, well, we're going to get through it. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Johnny, please play the intro.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only Dawg Knight.
Yes! I remembered to turn the dang thing off or on or whatever. Now let's see if I can just show my face. Good damn morning. In the immortal words of Jericho Green. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as Dawg Knight on the internet. And welcome back to the... Hello? There we go. Welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel on this Wednesday, the 8th of February, 2023. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful morning. Mine is adequate. I got here pretty much on time. I just had a couple glitches that I thankfully was able to quickly squash on my computer. And hopefully the show will work today. Yesterday we had some problems. I think we'll see. I just hope that I've been able to fix those problems. I increased the bit rate on the way this goes since I'm multi-streaming to multi-channel places, and hopefully that'll fix the problem. We'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to talk about the State of the Union today, and we're going to talk about, well, I'm not going to analyze it, minute per minute, because the thing was about an hour, 20 minutes long, and it would take me about 3 hours to do the entire State of the Union. But you know what? Something that most people aren't doing, they're not analyzing the response to the State of the Union. So we are going to watch Sarah Huckabee Sanders' response to the State of the Union. We're going to look at a bunch of different ways people have covered it on different news outlets, and that's what we're going to do. But we'll talk about it a little bit before I watch Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Also, I encourage you to watch other people's analysis of it too. A bunch of people had it on last night. Ricada Law, Ranting Monkey, the Hoteps, Megan Fox, a lot of people that I have a kinship with. Whoa, what happened there? Why is this thing all messed up? Let me fix something here. See, this is something about every time I put something new on here, let's fix that. There, that's going to look a little better. And also I need to reset the Streamlabs Superstar sponsor here because there is no Superstar sponsor right now. So give me a minute before you start doing that stuff, and then you could be the Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. If you don't really know what that is, so I know a lot of people donate to the show, and I appreciate that more than you know. But I'd like to encourage people to do it through Streamlabs because one, Susan doesn't get 30%. And in fact, if you use Streamlabs, you have two options. You can use PayPal or you can use just a regular credit card. Set yourself with a credit card there. If you donate money, you probably want to get it to go to the person you're donating it to, right? Well, if you do it by the credit card through Streamlabs, then more of it goes to me, and then I can, feed my family and take my wife out on our 30th anniversary trip that we're doing at the end of the month. And so, it's then less goes to Susan too, which I know not everybody loves Susan. Susan, that'd be Susan Wishawaka at YouTube. So she's the CEO there. So anyway, that's why. And plus, Streamlabs only tracks what's going into the Streamlabs for the Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. So that's the other trick. That's why it accumulates. But so anyway, whoever donates the most each day is the Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. The little thing in there says Streamlabs Superstar sponsor link here. If you want to do it there, that's great. And on Friday, but look, if you do it through Streamlabs or YouTube or Venmo or Cash, you know what? I just thank you from the bottom of my heart, no matter how you do it. So it doesn't matter that much, but just something about Susan WikiWiki bothers me because she annoys YouTube, the platform, kind of annoys me. But it's the best place to be. That's where everyone is. So I'm here. So anyway, let's say good morning and get this going here. So first in chat over on Rumble's Advocatus Diablo, who gets the bell. Thank you, sir, for being here. Also, good morning, Mike Savage, Blarg, Simon Wolfwood, Furry Kitten, what's up? And Jimmy Das Hotep. And also, TC is in the house over on Rumble. Make sure you follow me both on YouTube, on Rumble, on Odyssey, and you'll be able to find me if something happens at one of these platforms. YouTube sucks. Anyway, and then over on YouTube, first the chat was Jesse Leon gets the bell. Good morning, sir. Also, good morning to Maddie's in the house. I have Advocatus Diablo's over there. My favorite Canadian Jaeger ponies there. Lord Stanhope, Tyrannius, Alexandris. What the hell? Trumare Lich is in the house. Good morning, sir. Chicago Mike's here. I got to throw up a Sweet Home Chicago soundbite also. The other one I needed, there was one yesterday I thought of that I should have for a soundbite, but I can't remember what it was. I'll remember. Oh, a cha-ching. I need a cha-ching soundbite. Anyway, good morning, Mike Savage, Blarg. Also, I said Tyrannus. TC's also over on YouTube. Lord Stanhope's here. Also, good morning to Rotten Corpse, what's up? Good to see you. Maddie already said. TC, who am I missing? Simon Wolfwood. Simon Wolfwood's over on YouTube too. You're on both platforms. Trippy Liberty's in the house. What up, Trip? Good morning, Aaron Meredith. Good morning, HP Lovecraft. Tex AG. 007. And is that it? Oh, Keenan's in the house. Nice to see you. Kessler, welcome back. Nice to see you, sir. Haven't seen you in a while. Jay Pylon's in the house. Also, good morning to Green Badger Outdoors. Nice to have you back. And I think I got down to the bottom of the scrolling, so there we go. Hello, everybody. Good morning. Got my cup of reparations. I got the beautiful Austria cup going today. This is one we got when we were in Vienna. I just thought it was kind of it's gaudy, it's fantastic, and it's very special to me because that was a great trip when Lady Boomer and I went on that river cruise. That was cool. You know what? It was way too much money, but it was really, really good. Talk about something that's like all inclusive. You really can, when you pay one price, they're not nickel and diming you to death for a whole bunch of other crap. You pay the price and you get all the food and all the drinks and all the everything going on, and it's really nice. It was a really nice deal. So anyway, that was that. Let's get into the State of the Union, or the State of Delusion of the current sponge brain shit pants. And oh no, there were no hookers. There were no hookers, Advocatus Diabli. No. I was there with my wife, and I don't partake in hookers anyway, because I've never really had to. And so it's like, no, there are no hookers. At least not that I know of. It's funny. So the one thing that's interesting about going on a river cruise on somewhere in Europe, we in our late 50s, Lady Boomer and I were almost the youngest people on the cruise. That was interesting, but we weren't the youngest. There were other people our age, and there were a couple couples that were younger. There was one couple in their 30s, so I know it had to be weird for them, but they were traveling, I believe, with their parents, and they seemed to be having the best time of anyone. I mean, they were having a blast. But you know, anyway, what was I asking about? So hookers weren't included. Yeah, no, there were no hookers involved. Everyone there, pretty much on the boat, were in couples. There was a small group of single older ladies that traveled together, and they were always playing cards when the boat was on the river, you know, moving on the river. But anyway, good morning, Shrapnel. Nice to see you. Delusion, confusion, I don't know. You never know with Sleepy Sloppy Joe. True. This is true. You get that's a true bell. There you go. Ding, ding. So, let's see. First, let's talk about, I do want to, there's a whole bunch of people covering the entire speech. If you haven't watched it, there are plenty of people doing that. So I'm not going to do that today, but we'll talk about the speech. Oh, by the way, thank you people who've retweeted the show. Furry Kitten, Jimmy Das Hotep put out the show. I'm retweeting you here. And also thank you, Maddie. Thank you very much. We'll retweet Maddie here too. And so, hey, remember, you gotta, please, people, the Morning Night Live is brought to you by you, the viewers of the Morning Night Live. If you'd be so kind, hit the like button sometime during the show. Looks like we have, there's 22 people. Hit the like button. Do that. Also, share the stream. That's the big one. And I forgot. I have a commercial to play too. Now y'all got me shook. And there's a reason why I had this particular thing open here. Hang on a second. I forgot the commercial. I was going to play that at the beginning. Well, let's take care of that right now. Let's see. Get this open. This is, well, I'm making another commercial today though. But anyway, let's see. Where is it? That's upcoming. Here we go. We'll pause this and we'll open this. I got a commercial for this. Oh, no, stop. Here's the commercial. Sorry, you got to watch it. Is this the right window? Well, let's hope that this is the right one. Let's see what happens here when I play this. What the hell? That ain't it. Oh, I see what I did wrong. I'll figure it out. Oh, just what the hell? We'll just do it this way. This will be easier. All right, here, you got a commercial you got to sit through. Sorry, guys. Hey, everybody, I'm Marty, also known as Dawg Knight on the internet.
Dawg Knight.
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 Dawg.
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 Hi, Dawg.
Dawg.
Well, your dog.
Dawg Knight.
And I'm about to celebrate my 1,000th episode of the Morning Night Live.
1,000th episode of the Morning Night Live.
1,000 shows? Wow.
1,000th episode.
And 1,000 episodes.
1,000 episodes.
1,000 episodes. That's 3 zeros, people.
February 10th, 1,000th episode. That's amazing. He has, the name of his show is The Morning Night Live.
It happens Friday. Doing an all-day stream, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern.
Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, on Rumble, on YouTube, wherever you want to watch.
All day long on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter Spaces, the Morning Night Live this Friday, February 10th, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. You gotta be there. Yes, you do gotta be there. You gotta be there. Thank you, all the people who've contributed to the reel. Now that reel is actually going to be all those people who've been sending me congratulations. Thank you for those who jumped in. I see Jimmy Dawson there. I see Jay Pylon's in there. You saw Hard Bastard, Rikita, Monkey, all the people that I've been hanging out with for years are in there, and that's going to be my standby for the next probably couple months. It'll be longer than that though, because it's got to be at least 10 minutes long, which I have. But I got the full videos. Also, I'm putting out little. Whoa, what was that? There we go. I'm also going to be putting out just little commercials, a whole bunch over the next 2 days. So. Also, one thing, this is going to be on YouTube, Rumble, and I'm also going to be broadcasting on Twitter Spaces. Now, what I'm not going to do, all right, Jimmy Dawson, I said Jimmy Dawson, didn't I? And what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to have people coming in from Twitter Spaces, though. I'm going to have a bunch of guests all day Friday. I know that, let's see, a couple confirmed. I know that Hard Bass is going to drop in. I know that Jericho Green's going to drop in. I think I almost said Meghan Markle. No, not Meghan Markle. Megan Fox is going to drop in. Rikita's going to try to. There's a bunch of people going to try to drop in that day. Jay Pylon is going to drop in. I think Cannon, Hotep Jesus, just a whole bunch of people are going to drop in at different points during the day. You know who else I'm trying to get to drop in on Friday? And this would be great. I'm trying to get Ed and Brian Krasenstein to drop in. I've been talking to them. I'm like, hey, you guys got to come on. Because it would just be funny. Because oh my God, the propaganda they put out is funny. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have that on Twitter Spaces and see if we can get. Wait, not Megan Fox with the toe thumb. No, God, no. No, not. I mean, well, no, that wouldn't be a goddamn. She's fine as hell, but she's turning weird. You know, isn't she married to like Machine Gun Kelly or some shit? Who's that? Is that her, Megan Fox? Not the one that was in Transform. Megan Fox, the writer for PJ Media. In fact, she was in that video right there. So anyway, a bunch of people are going to drop in during the day, and if a bunch of people don't drop in, we're going to go out and find people to drop in. We'll go into snipe other stupid streams. Hey, when you get done, come over to my stream because we're celebrating 1,000. I don't know. It's going to be. I think it's going to be a little bit chaos-like because I don't have the greatest plan, but we'll just see what happens. Anyway, good morning, Black Hebrew Israel. I see you just dropped in. Good to see you. What the hell?
That's right.
There you go. And thank you, Jimmy Das Hotep, for sponsoring the show. Now, so the music today in the background, I just chose African continent. So the music is just kind of, some of it has some different flavor to it, but it's kind of nice. I was listening to it earlier today and I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. So anyway, that's what the donation music's going to be. So here you go, Jimmy Das. Thank you to Jimmy Das Hotep for dropping a 10 spot in the tip jar through Streamlabs. And Jimmy Das Hotep,
you are
the new Streamlabs superstar sponsor of the day. Who says? Jimmy Das says, like the stream, share the stream, get the Morning Night Live message out there, hooking people to the opinion and analysis we all enjoy goes a long way to hopefully changing our world and country for the better. Oh, that is very nice of you. That is very nice of you, Jimmy Das. I appreciate it so much. And you are the Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. All right, let's turn that off for a second. Now, let's get into the news. By the way, that clip that you just saw, that will be in the links today. So if you want to share that on your own social media, that would be cool. It's much more exciting than just sending out a copy of the stream. Send that out, and we'll maybe some people will go, oh, who's this guy? Who's this guy? Who's this? Someone said in the chat, who's this Dawg Knight guy? I don't know. This is some guy, but he's doing he wants 1,000 people. So let's do it. All right. Hope you have lunch planned out. Well, I don't. See, Tex, I don't have anything planned. I thought, oh, what am I going to do if I have to pee? And then I'll be Dawg Knight. Somebody already made that joke earlier this year. I'm going to pretend I made that up. And what I have to do to eat, I hadn't thought about that. I'm like, oh, 8 hours from 10, for me, it's from 9 to 5. I guess I'm just not going to eat. Or if there's people in the stream talking, I will take my break and run upstairs and grab something. I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll pack myself a lunch and put it in a cooler right over here on the floor or something. So anyway, the plan for 1,000 is just to see if we can get 1,000 people into this stream. And I'm going to need help with that. So we'll just go out and figure out who we can get to come by. It'll be a fun time. I hope you all enjoy it. And so on and so forth. All right, shall we talk about stuff that's happened in the world? Now, I didn't even check what's happening on Twitter today. What's trending? Let's see. Reparations is trending. Not Dead Yet, ABC. That's some show. Swingers is trending. I'm afraid of that. Joe Rogan's trending. All Lies is trending. Oh, I'm sure this has something to do with Joe Biden. Let me see. All Lies anyway. In order to even begin to understand what's going on in the world right now, you have to be open to the idea of unlearning almost everything you were taught. Interesting. That's interesting to take. Let's see. Lies, All Lies. Just last week, you were talking about cutting Social Security. When are you going to stop lying to the American people? So this is from a while ago. Apparently, this is something that someone said. I remember it. Do you? Anyone remember Kamala telling Joe during the debate, "You will do whatever the Chinese tell you"? They gave your son over $1 billion. Whoa, that's okay. That's a trip. That's a trip. No plan sounds like the State of the Union speech. Thank you, S. Chapman. That's hilarious. And you get a bell just for that one. Good morning, Roden, too. What's up, my brother? Nice to see you. My fellow Minnesotans is in the chat. Nice to see you. So, my Twitter is filling up with China bots. Got 15 million followers from China. China, oh my goodness.
China is asshole.
I just, yeah. You know what's funny? Remember the other day I was talking about how in Twitter, you get the pretty girl bots, you know. I don't know if they're bots, but the pretty girl bots, they'll have some stock photo of some model as their avatar. They'll have some other photos of the model, and they'll have like 300 followers, but they'll only have like 2 or 3 or 15 or whatever, a really small amount of followers. And then they've only tweeted like 3 things, and usually they're 2 pictures of girls, and sometimes it's not even the same girl. And so I block those, and I just remove them from my follower list every time they come along. But yeah, there has been quite a deluge of those on Twitter. It's kind of weird. Annalyn, I see you too. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. All right. This is not what I came to talk about. What I was trying to see what's happened on Twitter. I'm a little distracted. I'm trying to think of what I'm going to be doing for this 1,000th show. 8 hours I got to fill? I don't know. Well, I could probably do it because I am sometimes verbose, and there's always plenty of news to look up. So anyway, let's shall we talk about a couple things that are happening that aren't State of the Union related, and then we'll move on. Now, in my great state of Minnesota. Oh, by the way, I got a couple. Check out the Discord too. Gunfox61 does a really great job of managing the Discord for the Dawg Knight Channel, and always drops some good news items in. And these are a couple of news items that Gunfox had. But she said she loves me. You mean it's all lies? No. She don't love you, man. Come on. Anyway. All right. So in Minnesota, this is happening. Now, I don't know why there's a video. What's this video? This is a weird video. I don't think this has anything to do with it. And the article. Anyway, the Minnesota Senate, a few days ago, passed a bill. This is kind of related to the State of the Union, too. 100% by 2040 energy bill. Now, the Minnesota Senate overnight passed a bill setting new climate goals for Minnesota. Now, it's now 5 days ago, it was 20 something below zero in Minnesota. So I don't know what made him think of this particular bill. Maybe it's just because they don't want all these climate refugees moving to Minnesota, because we got it pretty good here. We are a really well-kept secret. We got tons of water. We don't have to worry about water. We're not like Colorado or Arizona or California. We always got to worry about water. Okay. In the summer, it's warm, and if it gets a little bit warmer, we'll have more crops growing here. In the winter, it's cold, so the creepy Southerners don't show up here. I'm just kidding, Southerners. I love y'all. In fact, I probably would love to move to the South. But it's kind of, and we're also away from the coast. If the Chinese, the Russians decide to bomb parts of the country, they're not going to bomb Minnesota. They're going to bomb the coast. So we're pretty safe here in Minnesota. Plus, it's, if it gets warmer, great. If it doesn't get warmer, we're fine. Right? And, like I said, water, that's the big one. We're going to start hearing a lot more about water soon, especially, well, it depends. California had all those floods. Here's something that, I know I'm just on a tangent today. So remember, they had all this water issue, all this rain in California recently, right? But remember when they kind of decided to drain a bunch of the reservoirs because there were snail darters and whatever bullshit that they were stopping to drain the reservoirs? Could you imagine if they had those reservoirs still and all that water they had in California, they had found a way to save some of it, but they didn't. They're stupid. So they're not. So they have that big water fight between Colorado, Utah. I want to not Wyoming. I know Arizona's part of it. Nevada's part of it because of the Colorado River runs all the way down south through that done where. So anyway, I just saw it. I see that Chicago mic. I'll wait till the music plays. So anyway, we'll never have that problem in Minnesota because we are basically, Minnesota used to be a giant glacier. And so we have thousands and thousands and thousands of lakes, over 12,000 lakes of a square mile or more in Minnesota. Plus the Mississippi River starts here. It's the Mississippi headwaters are up in Itasca County, Minnesota, Lake Itasca. And so water's never going to be a problem. And this is just a good place to live, except now the Senate has passed a bill, says it will require all utilities to offer 100% clean energy by 2040. Yes, that would be in 17 years. Now, there's a problem. First of all, some of the energy that we produce in Minnesota goes to the surrounding states. And they've tried this nonsense before, and some of the states around us sued, and the Supreme, or I don't know if it went to the Supreme Court, it went somewhere, it went to federal court. Federal court said, wait a minute, because the states around you have to agree to that too. But anyway, supporters say it's important to help curb climate change. Voted on this when it was 20 below. Opponents argue it's too costly and unreliable. That unreliable part, especially here in Minnesota. We're not in one of those wind corridors like Iowa is, where they produce a ton of energy via their, via that, they have a lot of windmills down in Iowa because the jet streams and whatever, how that wind works, there's always that corridor of wind. It goes through Iowa, and it goes through Illinois, it goes into Chicago. That's how Chicago becomes the windy city, even though it's actually much windier than Iowa than it is in Chicago. But anyway, in Minnesota, we don't really have one of those corridors. Now, we do get sun in the summer, sort of. It's cloudy almost the entire winter here. It's not like Denver where you have 320 days of sunshine a year where, solar panels would take care of that. But there's some solar panel farms around here, but they are useless in the winter because it gets snowed on, and then you're not gaining nothing on the snow, none of the solar, because the solar didn't even get to the solar panel. The sunshine. And so I don't know what the hell they're thinking here. But here it is. This bill is a top priority for Democrats who control the Capitol, because now, in Minnesota, both our chambers are Democrats, and the governor's a Democrat. WCCO's Caroline Cummings reports that 2 Republicans in the Senate joined Democrats in voting for the bill's passage. 100% of the 2040 legislation, or 100% by 2040 legislation puts Minnesota puts Minnesota at the forefront of sustainable energy. Senator Nick Friends, DFL North Mankato, who is the bill's chief author. Carbon emissions are carbon emissions are the number one threat to the health of the planet. I disagree. I think a nuclear war might be the number one threat to the health of the planet. But anyway. And then he says, what else does he say? This bill demonstrates that Minnesota takes climate change seriously, and that we must act now to create an energy production system that is reliable, affordable, and responsible. Well, you're not going to do it in 17 years. You can barely... Okay, first of all, can you even can you even build a nuclear plant in 17 years anymore? Because that'd be probably more reliable. Now, is it safe? It's safe enough. And do it in France and a bunch of other places, right? Isn't France almost all powered by nuclear energy? But anyway, there's nothing they're going to come up with in 17 years to do 100%. What do they call it? 100% clean energy. What is energy? Is never clean. Okay, the amount of energy it's going to take to even build all the crap you want to make to supposedly make clean energy is going to put so much output of carbon. It's going to be more than it would if you just stuck with oil and natural gas power plants or coal power plants. But anyway, what else did they say? What else is stupid they say? Oh, now Senate Minority Leader Mark Johnson. My roommate in college name was Mark Johnson, but that's not the same one. Countered that the bill would lead to higher costs and less reliable energy, especially the less reliable part. And in fact, you can go ask the Germans how their renewable energy, their little renewable energy burst or output or whatever is helping them now. Because, they lost a bunch of other stuff. Hello, John Arnott, by the way. Senate Republicans tried to amend the bill with our A-plus energy plan to keep our affordable, reliable energy available without increasing costs, Johnson said. Again, we see a party line vote on an extreme bill that was rushed through the process. Yes, it was. And so fascinating that Minnesota's trying to be more like California again. I complain about that all the time. Our governor sees something that California did. He's like, oh, that's something we should do too, because California is such a successful state. Fuck off. All right, got a few super chats here. Thank you again, Chicago Mike, for sponsoring the show, who says, oh, music. I got to have music. Let me try a different song, though, because I'm tired of that song. Let's try this one. Let's see this one. Okay, interesting. Thank you, Chicago Mike, dropping a Lincoln in the tip jar, who says, tons of water. There's only 1,000 lakes. 1,000. We have 12. There's over 12,000 lakes in Minnesota, a square mile or more. That's why we're the land of 10,000 lakes. Although I think Wisconsin has a ton of lakes. Well, it does have a ton of lakes, because I know when we go up to my friend's cabin, she has a cabin in Wisconsin, and there's tons of lakes there too, and they're beautiful and whatever. I love water. I'm probably gonna stay in Minnesota. In fact, I convinced Lady Boomer to stay in Minnesota. Then the next one. Thank you, dropping another deuce in the tip jar. Chicago Mike on the second one says 10,000 lakes. Oops. Yes, there's only more than 10,000 lakes of Minnesota. We are the land of 10,000 lakes. That music's too loud, I can tell. And then, all right, back here. And then thank you, John Arnott, dropping us a link into the tip jar with a big good morning. Well, good morning to you, and thank you, both of you, for sponsoring the show. You help sustain me and keep me regular. Okay, thank you. Okay, turn the music off. There we go. Good morning, LA Prepper. Nice to see you. All right, next. I'm taking too long. I'm never going to get the State of the Union. All right, we don't need Caroline Cummings because she's telling me the same story. Let's see. Now, why is this on here? Tucker Carlson. This is from Gunfox 61 from the Discord server, this article. Well, let's just see what it says. Tucker Carlson says, Biden said leaders discuss how to increase food shortages. Now 100 plus food plants explode, livestock dies. Yeah, this is a weird thing going on in our country right now. All these food plants kind of, going by the wayside or having problems. Why is there a link here, though? Is that just an image? I don't need that. Anyway, recently Tucker Carlson shed light on a speech by Joe Biden regarding the Ukraine war, where he talked about increasing food production from the U.S. and Canada. Biden's statement about food shortages was seen as a mistake, but he seemed to speak fluently that day. Well, that's quite a feat for the president. There have been reports of over 100 food plants and facilities being destroyed since Biden took office, and millions of livestock deaths. Yes, not only have we had the mysterious people, what do they call it? sudden death syndrome people, but it's also been happening with livestock. I remember there's one like somewhere near Tulsa, Oklahoma, where they just found a 1,000 cattle just dead on the side of the, in the field, like we're all next to each other. Really weird. Carlson questions if these incidents are just a series of freak accidents or something more. The media has attributed the decrease in egg production and high chicken mortality to avian flu. However, some believe that the accuracy of the test used to diagnose avian flu is questionable. Furthermore, other factors such as fires at food and egg plants and the discontinuation of egg laying while consuming commercial feed cannot be ignored. Yeah, isn't that weird that there's some feed that has been making the eggs or the chickens not lay so many eggs? So this is a quote, what is this, last spring in March at a press conference in Brussels, Joe Biden explained that the sanctions he was imposing against Russia, while morally necessary, were going to cause food shortages around the world, including here in the United States. It's going to be real, he said, Carlson reported. Now Biden said, in this very odd way, there's no hint of panic, emotions you'd expect from a leader predicting the deaths of human beings from starvation. None of that. Instead, there was pure nonchalant casualness. Biden could have been describing the weather or a trip to the dry cleaners. It's going to be real. Tucker points out that the Biden administration has failed to provide any data on the typical number of accidents that occur in food plants, which is a crucial piece of information. Fact checkers attempted to label the video clip of Biden as false information. However, given recent events, there's a possibility that Biden may have been correct in his statements. Then another quote from Tucker. Then Biden continued, recounting the conversation he had with European allies. He told us all about it. When he met with the group, Biden said they spoke about how we could increase and disseminate more rapidly food shortages. Now, is that just some Biden speak, or is that actually something happened? Oh, Gulf City, DC 182's in the house. Good morning, Blink. What's up? That's what Biden said verbatim on tape. So he said, how we could increase and disseminate more rapidly food shortages. We can't know what Biden was thinking, if anything, when he uttered those words in Brussels. We can only tell you what happened afterward. Strange disasters began to beset food processors all over the United States. In April the next month, the headquarters of one of the country's largest organic food distributors was destroyed in a fire. Cause unknown. Next month, in a single week, actually 2 separate private plane crashes took out 2 separate food processing centers. One plane hit a General Mills plant in Georgia. The other plane hit a food plant in Idaho. By the way, back in February, a boiler explosion obliterated a potato processing plant in Oregon, and so on and so on. So the death toll has reached well over 100 plants and millions of livestock after a problem was identified with commercial cattle feed. After the death of cows, chicken farmers began to speculate that the commercial chicken feed was the cause of their chicken suddenly stopping egg production. The evidence supported this theory, as farmers reported a return to egg laying after switching to local feeds. Typically, chickens lay eggs daily, but many were reportedly going 6 or 7 months. What? That's why eggs cost so damn much. 6 or 7 months without laying or experiencing a significant decrease in frequency. Holy shit. The behavior is not considered normal. Tucker considered. So people began to wonder, is there something here? But no one could tell. The Biden administration had no answers and no way to get the answers because they had no data. So, what do y'all think about that? Do you think, we've seen it. We've seen all these stupid plants have been like burning down. I mean, it was like every week another food processing plant or another farm or something was having some catastrophic issue, like fires or animals dying and shit. Or not dying in shit, dying and shit. Although if it's pigs, they were probably dying in shit too. At least they died happy, right? Anyway, always try to land on top of food plants. Yes, that's a good place to land your plane. Yeah, I've seen a weird trend where they're claiming eggs give you blood clots and cause strokes. Oh, you mean like that outfit that Lizzo wore the other day where she dressed up like a blood clot? Did y'all see that? I showed you that when Jericho Green was here. It was I was like, that was the first thing that came to mind. I saw the picture. I'm like, Is it Halloween? Is she dressing as a blood clot, or is that supposed to be some high fashion shit? Anyway, she looks ridiculous. Anyway, and it's a long time not to poop. Yeah. Pigs don't like shit. Very tiny critters. I know, that's just an expression. It's just an expression, Mike. It's like a pig and shit. It's more like a pig and mud, but you know what I mean. Yeah, no, pigs are very, very cleanly creatures. In fact, they use mud to clean themselves. It sounds like a weird concept, but I don't know what that means. Dying and shit, the ultimate fate of hunter. Yes. All right. Oh, wait. Actually, there is evidence eating eggs is good for fighting COVID. They just want everyone to die already. That's, well, it could be. All right. Now, let's talk about the State of the Union. Let me see. I got a bunch of, I'm going to show you some reactions. Then we're going to go watch Sarah Huckabee Sanders. This will be my live reaction because I haven't seen her reaction to it yet. And then we'll talk about more other stuff. So first on the list, Texas politicians react to President Joe Biden's State of the Union address. All right, let's watch this one. I think this is this has to do with Ted Cruz and a couple other Texas politicians. This is from a local station in Texas. So here we go.
Describing the president's speech as a disconnect
from
reality.
By the way, I forgot. Hang on. Before I do that, I got to put a poll up here. Because I'm not sure if there's a bunch of you who've seen it or not. Have you seen the State of the Union address yet? So if you haven't seen it, this could be some of this may not, well, I don't know, may not apply. I only did that. That's on the YouTube side. If you're on Rumble, you're not going to see that. My damn inner tubes is borked. Oh no. Sorry, furry kitten. I hope we could get that fixed out. Jimmy Doss says New Mexico sells its water rights to Texas and California. The Rio Grande literally is dry most of the year through Las Cruces, and people drive ATVs on it. Really? Wow. Cause doesn't the Rio Grande run through San Marcos? Because I know that there's I think it's Southwest Texas State or one of those schools in San Marcos. It might be University of Texas San Antonio. But there's a great place where people used to go, they go tubing on the river there. And I don't know if that's it, but I think that's the Rio Grande. But then it's dry once it gets to New Mexico. That's not good. Anyway, all right, let's watch this reactions here. What is going on? Why is this all messed up? Why isn't she on the screen? Oh, I'm in the wrong. Let's try this. Let's do that. There. Now you can see this fine young lady introduce this segment.
Celebration of American persistence in the middle of so many challenges. And Congressman Lloyd Doggett praised President Joe Biden for wanting to expand Medicaid. He even tweeted this: "I'm so pleased with presidential support to get health care to 2 million Texans denied Medicaid by Republicans." Congressman Doggett also...
And denied by Republicans. Get the fuck out of here. They denied by whatever the guidelines for Medicaid are. Good God.
Tweeted about last week's winter storm. He says he appreciates the president's focus on dedicating federal resources to climate action and clean energy. Now, as for Texas Republicans, many expressed dissatisfaction over the president's handling of one of their top priorities. During the annual address, it took President Biden nearly an hour to bring up the southern border or immigration, and Texas Senator Ted Cruz saying the president refused to take responsibility for the failures of his administration.
In fact, he pretty much outright lied. By the way, thank you, Resolute Gem, for joining the stream or subscribing to the channel. I appreciate it.
He had the gall to say, quote, "support my plan to secure the southern border," when it's his policies that have created open borders and have resulted in the worst illegal immigration in our nation's history and the most overdoses in our nation's history.
Oh, no, and it's the San Marcos River that people go tubing on in San Marcos, Texas. I should know that. Hello, Zombie Teddy. The Rio still flows here in Albuquerque, just not as much as it used to. That's Shrapnel State. Oh, you're in Albuquerque too? Oh, you should you and Jimmy Das Hotep should meet sometime. Aren't you, Jimmy Das, aren't you in Albuquerque now? I know you're in New Mexico. I just can't remember where in New Mexico you are. All right. All right, so that's Ted Cruz complaining because
Cruz went on.
Yeah, because okay, I don't need the Cruz went on to say. Okay, yeah, Biden really didn't want to say much about the border. In fact, during the speech, the president said something about how Kamala Harris was instrumental in something about lending and credit card, something this and that, and he said, "Yeah, I give Vice President Harris all this credit for doing this." And we're like, well, wait a minute. What did she do about that? And why hasn't she done anything about the border? Because she's supposedly the border czar, but she didn't do shit. So anyway, here's another, who is this? This is Fox News. Oh, this is Fox Business. Oh, this is about how the Biden got heckled quite a bit. So let's see how he did get heckled quite a bit. Well, first of all, he tried to outright lie with that stupid lie that the Republicans want to take away your Social Security and Medicare, which, you know what? In my thoughts about the 2022 election and why there wasn't a huge red wave, I think a lot of it had to do with that particular lie. Because about 2 weeks before the election, Joe Biden started talking about how Republicans want to take away your Social Security and Medicare. And every single Democrat that I saw, because they didn't have anything to run on. They didn't have a record to run on because the record sucks. But you start scaring seniors who on the Social Security and Medicare issue, and that is instant switch a vote to Rudy. Whatever that meant. Switch your vote-a-roo. I made up a new word. Switch your vote-a-roo. Because seniors vote. And that, just telling that lie over and over, which the Democrats were doing about 2 to 3 weeks before the election, they started lying about Republicans want to take away your Social Security and Medicare. That play has been played forever. That is their favorite play. I remember there's a video of Joe Scarborough talking about that back when he was in Congress in the 90s. Talking about, how the Democrats are lying about us saying that we want to take away your Social Security and Medicare, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So here's a clip here. Let's see how much we can stand of this.
My Republican friends want to take the economy hostage. Instead of making the wealthy pay their fair share, some Republicans want Medicare and Social.
Oh, he went back on that wealthy paying their fair share on taxes too. Does this moron? Wait, I guess do I want to call him a moron? Because they're all morons. Everyone who says that we want to make the rich pay their fair share, do they realize that the top 10% pay about 80% of all the taxes in this country? Do they not realize that? They say it over and over. We want them to pay their fair share. Is their fair share 80%? Is the bottom? Now look. So should the bottom 50%, the ones who don't pay income tax? Now they pay other taxes. Obviously. They pay, sales tax and this tax, that tax, tax on whatever this and that and never what's the other, right? But the idea that the rich, the wealthy, the billionaires, whatever, aren't paying their fair share of taxes is just a stupid concept. Since they pay a vast majority of all the taxes. And even those billionaires that he's made this stupid line, well, some of these billionaires pay less taxes than the teachers. And he meant a lower rate, but later he says less, okay? Less taxes than the teachers. That's bullshit too. Just because they're not necessarily paying taxes on income that they're making that particular year doesn't mean they're paying less taxes. They're still carrying the burden. If they own a business, they're paying payroll tax for every freaking employee they have. They're paying all kinds of taxes everywhere. It's just nonsense. Really the only I only think is the only real fair tax would be a flat tax where nobody gets an exemption. If you're above the poverty line, you don't get an exemption. You pay 10% or whatever, 12% or whatever they make it. Everyone pays the same rate and no deductibles on anything. You don't get a deductible for your house. You don't get a deductible for kids. You don't get a deductible for anything. Just everyone pays 10%. Okay? That would be fair. Okay? Or getting rid of income tax altogether, and paying a tax on everything you buy, which would seem like it'd make more sense. Some people would be more frugal, wouldn't have to pay as much taxes. Some people like to live a lavish lifestyle. They would pay more taxes. But if you paid a certain amount of tax on everything you buy and didn't pay an income tax, that seems like it'd be more fair, because rich people buy a lot more shit than people who aren't rich. So I think that would be fair too. But the idea that the rich don't pay their fair share, bullshit. And you just look, there aren't enough billionaires to put in enough taxes for all the shit you want to spend money on. That's the other problem. We got a spending problem. So shut up with that shit. Anyway, let's watch him be heckled during this thing. Hello, and Jordan, what's happening? Taxes are meaningless if the government won't curb its spending. Ding. Straight up. Hello, Tyler F.
Let me give you, anybody who doubts it, contact my office. I'll give you a copy. He did.
I don't like it when they heckle during the State of the Union, but he told some zingers, man, some humdingers, especially on the one about, he started to say that the Republicans, and he caught himself because he looked over right away, knew he was going to get it, about, the Republicans are going to take away your Social Security, Medicare.
That means Congress doesn't vote.
Wow, that was President Biden at last night's State of the Union
Yes,
address.
it was.
Lawmakers booing and calling him a liar after he claimed that Republicans want to end Medicare and Social Security.
Yeah, he said they wanted to let it sunset. There's no provision in the Social Security Act or whatever it is that it would sunset anyway. The only thing that would sunset, there are provisions that might sunset if they were like, I don't know, there's special COVID additions or whatever, but there's no sunsetting of Social Security yet. They would actually have to vote to repeal it, and that ain't happening. It's just not. That's never going to happen, and it's just crazy. He's saying, if the Republicans give us a bill to end Social Security, Medicare, I will veto it. There's never going to be a bill coming to your desk to end Social Security and Medicare. Not in these 2 years when you got Democrats holding the Senate and the Republicans aren't interested in lighting that fire under the older voters' asses. Just ain't happening. Anyway.
Kevin McCarthy, the House Speaker, shot down and continues to shoot down. He also said that he will not allow America to default on its debt. Joining me right now is Pennsylvania Congressman, Freedom Caucus Chairman, and member of the House Oversight and Foreign Affairs Committee,
with this guy.
Scott Perry. Congressman, good to see you. Thanks very much for getting up early for us. We know it was a late night.
If you just get here or watch your reactions to the State of the Union.
Well, it was a little bizarre and out of touch.
Okay, I don't want to listen to this interview. This is going to take too long. It was bizarre. It was bizarre that he keeps coming to it, and I didn't have it on the screen. Anyway, let's move on. What's this one? This is okay. I don't want that one. Let's go into some articles about it, because there's some highlights to the State of the Union. We'll put this on here. Here's some reactions from different places. Let's see. Wall Street Journal. Biden highlights economic gains in address to joint session of Congress. Is this going to have music in it? Oh, I don't want to hear the music. Come on.
Draft.
I don't want to hear you. I hate this. Because every time they put some of that stupid music on there, I get a content strike. Not a strike, but they demonetize. Let's skip. Let's go to the Washington Post, whose focus was on Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene yells, "Liar!" during combative State of the Unions. After guidance to behave themselves from Speaker Kevin McCarthy, House Republicans had plenty to say in the chamber. Yes, they want to focus on the bad behavior of Republicans in the Washington Post, because, the Washington Post are so fair to Republicans. Midway through the State of the Union address, the room turned feisty as some Republican lawmakers began booing President Biden. Oh no, I'm having the vapors. Some pointed fingers toward his position at the center of the House chamber. Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene stood and yelled at him, "Liar." It was a remarkable display of partisan animosity. Really? Yeah, there was never, ever partisan animosity before Joseph Rahim Biden. And one that illustrates the challenges gripping a deeply divided Washington. And it put on vivid display the power of Green as leader of the Outburst Caucus and the struggles that House Speaker Kevin McCarthy has in controlling the behavior, let alone the votes of his conference. Hours before the speech, McCarthy, California, and other Republican leaders had told lawmakers during their weekly conference meeting that all eyes would be on them as Biden delivered his remarks, according to people in the room for the meeting who spoke on a condition of anonymity to discuss it freely. That guidance echoed a similar message sent out by Representative Elise Stefanik. Cameras are always on, microphones are always hot ahead of the speech. Republicans did not anticipate any outburst, and McCarthy had said Monday that he would not shred the president's speech, as then Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democratic California, did with President Donald Trump's. But about 40 minutes into his speech, Biden turned to one of his most contentious current topics facing Congress. Halfway through the speech, that was by turns folksy and feisty. Bullshit feisty. By the way, Resolute Jerem, nice to see you. Thank you for subscribing. I've been chatting back and forth with you on Twitter for a long time. I just didn't know you. I thought you were already subscribed here. Anyway, contained a hint. Halfway through the speech, it turned folksy and feisty and contained more than a hint of swagger. He couldn't show swagger if he had a rudder and water. Anyway, he looked to the Republicans sitting in the chamber to his left, chiding them for lack of specificity in their approach to cutting the budget. Their decision under Trump, he said, added more to the national debt than any president, triggering boos for Republicans. Okay, that was bullshit too. Hi, Lindsay. Nice to see you. Cynical Lindsay's in the house. I haven't seen you in so long. Nice to see you, my friend. So it was interesting because he kept talking about how he was reducing the deficit. But he was comparing it to the COVID years when we had a very huge anomaly of spending, the government just giving everybody money because they shut your ass down. And so the idea that you cut spending from that, well, it's like, duh, any president who would have been president this year would have cut spending from those 2 years. But Joe Biden took the credit. Also, he made a big thing about how, well, we've created 12 million or 20 million, however many jobs he's saying he created, which were all jobs that were just people going back to their jobs. Select the boys in the house.
Yeah, boy.
Welcome. So yeah, he told some whoppers, just taking credit for shit that wasn't him. But they're the facts, Biden responded. Check it out. It was one of the number of moments in which he was heckled in the chamber, and he seemed to relish the open exchanges that broke out in the House chamber and played on national television. McCarthy, sitting directly behind Biden and in view of the cameras, several times appeared to shush his colleagues as Biden mentioned potential cuts to Social Security and Medicare. Now, no! The Washington Post even phrases this in a lying way. As Biden mentioned potential cuts to Social Security and Medicare. There are no potential cuts to Social Security and Medicare. They've made it clear that is completely taken off the table. And how some Republicans back proposals could lead to cuts in the entitlement program. It triggered one of the most disruptive moments of the night and loud protests that had been kept at bay for much of the speech. Were unleashed. Green stood up, jabbed a finger, yelled towards Biden, "Liar!" Others followed. It was one of several outbursts from Green, who interrupted Biden's speech by yelling, "China's spying on us," and later, "Secure the border." Biden seemed both perplexed and energized by the sudden... Perplexed? He did deer in the headlights for a second, but he recovered pretty quickly. Anyway, the point of this is they wanted to they like to highlight Marjorie Taylor Greene because they want to make it as though she's the leader of the party and not anyone else, and so whatever. So it just goes on. And yes, they heckled him a little bit, probably more than usual. In fact, I don't like it when people heckle during the State of the Union. This is not a parliament, okay? Or where that's just part of the flavor of being there, where they heckle each other. This is not that. We have a little bit different style. So I don't know, maybe she's taking cues from Parliament, but they love to focus on Marjorie Taylor Greene. So thank you, Chicago Mike, dropping another small bullet in the tip jar. Appreciate it. Wait, what's that? No, we're good. Who said, music? Chicago Mike says, did we all watch the State of Division? I mean, oops, State of the Union. Yes. Although 77% of you haven't seen it. I didn't know that. I thought, I guess not everyone here is Americans either. You probably don't even care. But here's what I would say to do. Let's see. Ricada and Joe Neerman, who's Good Logic, they did a video on it, or were watching it live, or watching it and analyzing it. Like I said, Megan Fox, Ranting Monkey, Hotep Jesus on Rumble, Hotep Nation on YouTube, Hotep Jesus. They watched it. So I mean, there's a lot of people. Go if you'll get to see it. I want to get to the response though, and then I'll get through some more of these articles though, because this is the first time I'm seeing the response. So I'm going to put this on here. What else do I got here? I've got several articles. So this response will be in the tabs. By the way, all the videos, articles and stuff, at the end of the show, I'll drop them into the descriptions on a one-tab link, which if you hit the one link, it'll have everything on one page. So you'll be able to see that really easy. It'll be in the second paragraph. I update that during the outro before I redo this. Tyre Alexander, good morning again. Oh, wait, I need new music. I'm kind of just... We'll try this one. They all start the same. It's really weird. Okay. Ty Alexander, dropping a small bullet in the tip jar, says, we are becoming more and more British. We have nobles and elites. Now we need a monarch, and we can be British too, American style. Thank you, Ty Alexander. Appreciate it. Stop the music. Let's watch the Republican response, because usually the Republican response is really dull and uninteresting, and and it's always anticlimactic, because the State of the Union is everyone up, down, clap, and cheer like monkeys and clap like seals. Do monkeys cheer? I don't know. I made that up. Anyway, let's watch the Republican response, which is usually anticlimactic and boring, but it's always much shorter, and this is probably going to take up the rest of the show. But here's the Republicans' response to the State of the Union. Let's see what Sarah Huckabee Sanders has to say.
Huckabee Sanders. Being a mom to 3 young children taught me not to believe every story I hear. So forgive me for not believing much of anything I heard tonight from President Biden.
Okay.
From out-of-control inflation and violent crime to the dangerous border crisis and threat from China. Biden and the Democrats have failed you. They know it, and you know it. And it's time for a change.
Now, real
Tonight,
quick, let me just stop there. Sure, Biden and the Democrats have failed us. I wouldn't let the Republicans off the hook so much either, though. You know, there's some things that they've gone along with, like there's this, what's the gun bill they just went through, and some of the spending, and so let's not let the Republicans off the hook. Some of the Republicans aren't much better, and let me just tell you, especially in the Senate, Lindsey Graham, Mitt Romney, Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, and many other of you shitbags are not better at all. But anyway.
let us reaffirm our commitment to a timeless American idea.
Well, let's do that.
That government exists not to rule the people, but to serve the people.
Yeah, they don't get it.
Democrats want to rule us with more government control.
True.
But that's not who we are.
But so do the Republicans
America
in some ways.
is the greatest country the world has ever known.
I'd like them all to take a year off.
We're the freest country the world has ever known.
Fortunately,
we are still strong and resilient.
And have an attitude.
5 months ago, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer.
Oh, that's why she has the scar. I was wondering about the scar on her neck.
particularly our kids, Scarlett, Huck, and George.
Okay, I don't need to know the
kept
name
our
of your
faith
kids.
and persevered. Thanks to exceptional doctors here in Arkansas, a successful surgery, and the grace of God, I am cancer-free. Through it all, I couldn't help but think about my mom. She was 20 years old and in her first year of marriage when she was diagnosed with spinal cancer.
Ew,
the doctors told her she might not live, and if she did live, they said she'd never walk again.
You know,
and if she did walk, she'd definitely never have children. The daughter she was told she'd never have was just sworn in as the new governor of Arkansas.
Yeah, she is the governor of Arkansas now.
Speaking to you tonight.
Wait. Are you sure? Are you sure it's not a ventriloquist? I don't mean to troll the Sarah Huckabee standards. Because these responses, like I said, they're interesting, but they usually get very little play. So that's why I'm focusing on this.
Fear of the unknown can paralyze us, but faith propels us to charge boldly ahead. We can't stand still in the face of great challenges. You and I were put on this earth for such a time as this, to charge boldly ahead.
Where no man has gone before.
I'll be the first to admit,
Space, the final frontier.
President Biden and I don't have a lot in common. I'm for freedom, he's for government control.
Ding.
At 40, I'm the youngest governor in the country.
Oh, she's only 40?
And at 80, he's the oldest president in American history. I'm the first woman to lead my state, and he's the first man to surrender his presidency to a woke mob that can't even tell you what a woman is.
Isn't it funny how to the Democrats and people who are the more left of center, how the worst person in the world is a white male, and yet, especially an old one, the most privileged person on the planet, in theory, is the old white male, and yet they worship this old white male. Anyway.
In the radical left's America, Washington taxes you and lights your hard-earned money on fire. But you get crushed with high gas prices, empty grocery shelves, and our children are taught to hate one another on account of their race, but not to love one another or our great country. Whether Joe Biden believes this madness or is simply too weak to resist it, his administration has been completely hijacked by the radical left. The dividing line in America is no longer between right or left. The choice is between normal or crazy. It's time for a new generation of Republican leadership.
Crazy.
Upon taking office just a few weeks ago, I signed executive orders to ban CRT, racism, and indoctrination in our schools.
You know what? Okay. Now look, I am not a fan of any critical theories, including critical race theory, but I'm less a fan of executive orders. I wish she would have gone through her legislature or school apparatus, state school boards, or whatever, to do that. I don't want these executives doing executive orders. That's, a lot of people complain and talk about democracy, whatever. And at least in Florida, let's take Florida for example, because people are bitching about the laws they've passed there and the governors signed, but everyone who complains about Florida says, well, DeSantis did this, DeSantis did that, right? Reaction, nice to see you. But in reality, their legislature passed the laws that people are complaining that DeSantis did. So those people complaining about what's happening in Florida, who are always screaming about democracy, well, you clearly hate democracy in Florida because they're not doing what you want them to do. So are you trying to preserve democracy, or do you hate democracy? Because it's not, DeSantis isn't doing it through executive orders. So anyway, let's go back.
Eliminate the use of derogatory term Latinx in our government, repealed COVID orders, and said never again to authoritarian mandates.
Latinos appreciate that.
Americans want common sense from their leaders.
Yes, we do.
But in Washington,
stop spending money.
The Biden administration is doubling down on crazy. President Biden inherited the fastest economic recovery on record.
He inherited it too. That's true.
Border in history.
Look,
cheap, abundant.
He didn't create 12 million jobs. He didn't reduce the deficit from the prior 2 years just because of his great policies. He inherited it. It came because we did all this extra spending. We did all this extra shit for COVID for 2 years. And so any president who would be president right now would recover of those jobs. Guess what? Those jobs, those were already there. Okay, they just people coming back to him. And the other part, you know what else the problem? Because he talked about how great the job boom was, but then he was talking about how so many people are left behind. Well, which is it? Are all these jobs created, or was everyone left behind? Because here's the problem: while the unemployment rate, they can brag about the unemployment rate's false, because the job participation rate is still in the shitter. It's still way down from before the pandemic. So that just means the unemployment rate is that there's not as many people looking for jobs. Now, could that be because people were giving them, they got a lot of extra just money here and there? I mean, not a lot because it wasn't enough to sustain anybody, but a lot of people just got used to not working after they did and realized, oh, well, some families like, oh, maybe just one of us will go back to work. We can actually kind of afford, even the inflation, we're going to suffer through it. So the idea that you created all these jobs, but the labor participation rate didn't go up means you didn't do shit. Because I look around, everyone's still looking for people to work. I see everyone's, we're hiring. We're hiring signs are everywhere. So they're not filling jobs. So wait a minute. If everything's so hunky-dory, then why are you talking about the people who are left behind, Joe? And you didn't see that part, but I just needed to go there.
Homegrown energy. Fast rising wages.
They forgot about energy too.
A rebuilt military and a world that was stable and at peace. But over the last 2 years, Democrats destroyed it all. Despite Democrats' trillions in reckless spending and mountains of debt, we now have the worst border crisis in American history.
Which he doesn't want to address at all.
As a mom, my heart breaks for every parent who has lost a son or daughter to addiction. 100,000 Americans a year are now killed from drug overdoses, largely from fentanyl pouring across our southern border. Yet the Biden administration refuses to secure the border and save American lives. And after years of Democratic attacks on law enforcement and calls to defund the police, violent criminals roam free, while law-abiding families live in fear. Beyond our border, from Afghanistan to Ukraine, from North Korea to Iran, President Biden's weakness puts our nation and the world at risk. And the president's refusal to stand up to China, our most formidable adversary,
China is
dangerous and unacceptable. President Biden is unwilling to defend our border.
Okay, hang on. So if you didn't see the speech last night, hello, Nelson's TAS and Game Archive. Nice to see you. If you didn't see last night, I found it interesting because Biden did make a point last night to talk about how we are standing up to China. We're not going to tolerate any incursions or whatever. Which got me to thinking, man, because it's so convenient that we had the balloon crisis, right? The old scary, nasty balloon crisis all of a sudden. And it's just in time for Biden to bring that up in the State of the Union speech. I just found that interesting.
Defend our skies and defend our people. He is simply unfit to serve as commander-in-chief. And while you reap the consequences of their failures, the Biden administration seems more interested in woke fantasies than the hard reality Americans
Well, they certainly want to. He's certainly on that.
Most Americans simply want to live
thing.
their lives in freedom and peace. But we are under attack in a left-wing culture war we didn't start and never wanted to fight. Every day we are told we must partake in their rituals, salute their flags, and worship their false idols. All while big government colludes with big tech to strip away the most American thing there is.
I don't know. I don't know if they even count me.
Speech.
It's funny is they never ask me because that's how I live. I have 3 part-time jobs. 3 part-time jobs that I kind of like and sustain what I need. So, and actually, if you call this a part-time job, I guess you could call that. So, although this is becoming a full-time job sometimes. I spend a lot more time on this than other things. But anyway,
that's not normal. It's crazy, and it's wrong. Make no mistake. Republicans will not surrender this fight. We will lead with courage and do what's right.
So I'm going to speed this up a little bit because I can't. She talks really slow. So we're going to do it a little faster so I can get through it. Otherwise, it's going to take me forever. Okay, here we go.
Not what's politically correct or convenient. Republicans believe in an America where strong families thrive in safe communities, where jobs are abundant and paychecks are rising, where the freedom our veterans shed their blood to defend is the birthright of every man, woman, and child.
Hello, Brent
These
Hayes.
are the principles Republican governors are fighting for, and in Washington, under the leadership of Senate Republicans and Speaker Kevin McCarthy,
Okay, stop. Stop. Okay, I am not putting any faith in the Senate senior Republican leadership and Kevin McCarthy. Okay, as much as I think the populist crowd in the House can be a little off the rails, their ideas are correct. And in fact, the guy with the funny hair that was the last president got more Republican proposals that I've been hearing since Reagan years done than any of these jackholes in the Senate Republican leadership. Mitch McConnell, I don't really think you get a whole lot done, although sometimes you go along when it's clearly going to benefit you. But you seem to be much more worried about, the kickbacks you can get for your state and being in power in the Senate. So I just don't have a lot of faith in Senate it's now Minority Leader, Mitch McConnell.
he will hold the Biden administration accountable.
I hope so. I'm not holding my breath. You just passed some kind of whatever the gun thing they just did that had a couple things that made my eyebrow go so far out of my head I almost popped an eyeball out.
Down the street from where I sit is my alma mater, Little Rock Central High. As a student there, I will never forget watching my dad, Governor Mike Huckabee, and President Bill Clinton hold the doors open to the Little Rock Nine. Doors that 40 years earlier had been closed to them because they were black.
Wait, how did Huckabee and Clinton held the door? Maybe they came back for a reunion or something. Anyway, I don't know what the hell she's talking about.
Today, those children once barred from the schoolhouse are now heroes, memorialized in bronze at our State House.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
I'm proud of the progress our country has made. And I believe giving every child access to a quality education, regardless of their race or income, is the civil rights issue of our day. Tomorrow, I will unveil an education package that will be the most far-reaching, bold, conservative education reform in the country.
Good.
My plan empowers parents with real choices.
I hope it's school choice.
And career readiness, and helps put a good teacher in every classroom by increasing their starting salary from one of the lowest to one of the highest in the nation.
Good.
Here in Arkansas.
Good for you. But you know what? Here's the thing. I don't have a problem with that. Why? Because she's using local money to do it. She's not asking for the government, the federal government. I'd much rather have states do this on their own dime and have the closer you are to the government is the most, that government should be doing the most. Okay? Because you have a little more say. So yeah, she's doing it for state. Maybe the state, the cities can do that, and the towns and the school boards can do that. But it doesn't need to be the federal government doing that shit.
Across America, Republicans are working to end the policy of trapping kids in failing schools and sentencing them to a lifetime of poverty. We will educate, not indoctrinate our kids, and put students on a path to success. It's time.
Oh, you mean like teaching them to read and write, do math and science instead of all the bullshit, all the social, the SEL bullshit? I hope so.
Generation to lead. This is our moment. This is our opportunity. A new generation born in the waning decades of the last century, shaped by economic booms and stock market busts, forged by the triumph of the Cold War and the tragedy of 9/11. A generation brimming with passion and new ideas to solve age-old problems.
Okay.
A generation moored to our deepest values and oldest traditions.
True avocado salad. It's not the salary that's the problem; it's the teachers, and they got to find a way to evaluate teachers, and if they're not doing their job, scrapping them. Because the problem is, and a lot of it too. There is certainly social pressures in places where the kids themselves just don't want to learn, and you can throw as much money as you want at it, but if the kids don't want to learn or have no interest in learning, you're kind of screwed. I mean, and unfortunately, there's a lot of places where kids are told they don't have any hope anyway, so why do this? They're literally, someone's going to hold you down, or you're not going to be able to do something because, someone in your, 7 generations ago was a slave, or even 3 generations ago, whatever, however many generations, or, you can't succeed because the police are after you, when in reality, you're more likely to be killed by the kid sitting next to you. So, we got to give kids hope. And we got to let kids know, hey, if you do A, B, and C, you're going to have a decent life for D. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know.
Yet unafraid to challenge the present order and find a better way forward. If we seize this moment together, America can once again be the land of the free and the home of the brave. During my 2.5 years at the White House, I traveled on every foreign trip with the president. A trip I will never forget was on December 25th of 2018. My husband Brian and I had just cleaned up wrapping paper that was shoved into every corner of our house, thanks to our 3 kids. When I had to walk out on my own family's Christmas, unable to tell them where I was going that night, because the place I'd be traveling was so dangerous.
That'd be tough.
I didn't want anybody to know that the president was going to be on the ground, even for a few hours. We boarded Air Force One.
Oh, is this when they went to Afghanistan?
In total darkness. There were no lights on the plane, no lights on the runway. Our phones and computers shut down and turned in. We were going completely off the grid. Nearly 12 hours later, in the pitch black of night, we landed in the war-torn part of western Iraq.
Oh, in Iraq.
It was again a similar scene. No lights on the plane, no lights on the runway. The only thing you could see was coming from about a mile away. In the dining hall were hundreds of troops who were in the fight against ISIS, had gathered expecting to celebrate Christmas with senior military leadership from around the region. They had absolutely no idea that the president and first lady were about to walk into that room. And when they did, it was a sight and a scene and a sound I hope I never forget. The room erupted. Men and women from every race, religion, and region, every political party, every demographic you can imagine, started chanting in perfect unison, over and over and over again, USA, USA, USA. It was an absolutely perfect
That had to be wild,
of what
man.
makes our country great.
Could you imagine
One of the young
there?
soldiers yelled from the back, "Mr. President, I re-enlisted in the military because of you." And the president said, "And son, I'm here."
All right, let me ask you all a question. Let me ask you all a question. Do you believe that there would be, even Jainism, come on, Somnable Nation. By the way, good morning, my friend. Do you think there is a single person in the military to this day, well, okay, I shouldn't even ask this, that would say that same sentence to Joe Biden? I re-enlisted because of you. Except now I thought about it. I had to think about it. If you ever saw the ad that was recruiting for the Army of the young woman who apparently works on missile systems, who had 2 moms growing up and went to a pride parade, I bet she probably re-enlisted because of Joe Biden. But normal people in the military probably aren't all that excited about Joe Biden being president. Okay, let me finish this.
Of you. Shortly after, that young soldier came up to me. He said, "Sarah, you have a tough job." I told him, "What I do is nothing. You take bombs and bullets. That's a tough job."
Yeah, no, Sarah doesn't.
And in a moment that I know I'll
well,
cherish
she had
for
a
the rest
tough
of my
job.
life.
Every every White House press secretary has a tough job. And I don't care if it's a Republican or a Democrat, because your job is to spin. Your job is to not necessarily say everything, because you want to make sure you keep the president, it's funny. For Republican press secretaries, it's hard because the press hates you. And for the Democrats press secretary, it's hard because you suck. So, you got to lie the whole time, or, especially this president who doesn't always know what he's saying, and he says some wrong shit and they always got to walk it back. But that job as press secretary has got to be crazy. System needs move to trade instruction for kids that aren't study testing kids. One size fits all. $1 trillion sucks. Yeah, Jimmy, you are so right. He said it over in Rumble. That's another part of our, because Biden was talking about how, we need to have more preschool and more secondary or post-secondary school, more community college, whatever. We're going to give more money for this and that. No, maybe we should streamline this system so that when people get out of high school, and instead of having to have a 4-year college degree, just going for either go work for a company and learn what you got to learn there, or just have degrees in the thing you want to go do. I mean, they right now the reason colleges cost so much is they pour on so much shit that you really never need. But anyway, let's. I'm going to try to get her done here, and then we got to get out of here.
That soldier reached up and he pulled the Brave Rifles patch he wore on his shoulder, and he placed it into my hand, a sign of ultimate respect. And he said, "Sarah, we are in this together." Overwhelmed with emotion and speechless, I just hugged him with tears in my eyes and a grateful heart for our heroes who keep us free. That young man and everyone who has served before him, all of those who serve alongside him, and the thousands we know who will be called upon to serve after him, deserve to know they have a country and a community back home doing our part in the fight for freedom. America is great because we are free. But today, our freedom is under attack, and the America we love is in danger. President Biden and the Democrats have failed you, and it's time for a change. A new generation of Republican leaders are stepping up, not to be caretakers of the status quo, but to be change makers for the American people.
Well,
we know not what the future.
Look, and I hope she's right. I don't necessarily, the Democrats being the state and making the state most important, and the Republicans being the state and the state being most important, doesn't change our status. I want Republicans who realize that maybe it's time to scale back the state and allow people to live their lives. So, just curious, Sarah, what you talking about here? What you talking about? What you talking about, Sarah?
Holds, but we know who holds the future in his hands. And with God as our witness, we will show the world that America is still the place where freedom reigns and liberty will never die. Thank you. God bless you. And God bless America.
All right. Not bad, Sarah Sanders. You did pretty good there. So that speech is going to be there. Here's what I'm going to do, since I'm already kind of out of time here. I will make sure, let me put the State of the Union address in here for those who haven't seen it. If you want to watch it, I suggest, the thing is, there's so many little things in the State of the Union address that I want to stop and talk about, because he kind of, let's see, where is it? Oh, wait, it should be right here. Where'd the State of the Union go? Did they take it down? Oh, here it is. Oh, they've put up 3 new things. All right, here, I'll make sure that this one's in the tabs, though, if you want to watch it. Although I do suggest watching it, with some of the people I already mentioned who were live streaming it. Although the one I worry about, and I didn't see her do it, but apparently Megan Fox, not the actress Megan Fox, but the PJ Media Megan Fox, she was doing shots for things. I heard she was pretty drunk by the end of the speech, because they had a list of things that they would do a shot for. But let's go through this. I'm going to go through the list of the articles that I have here, and I'm going to extend this just a little bit, because there's a couple things I wanted to get to. So here's the 5 key economic points to Biden's 2023 State of the Union address. This is according to CNBC. Return of the billionaire tax. A stupid idea, if you ask me, but they've also talked about doing wealth tax, which would be, I think, almost unconstitutional. Biden renewed his call for levying tax on billionaires and corporate stock buybacks to reduce the federal deficit, which will not reduce the federal deficit by any significant way. He says, the tax system is not fair. Not fair. The idea that in 2020, 55 of the largest corporations in America, a Fortune 500, made $40 billion in profits and paid zero in federal taxes. Zero. Folks, it's simply not fair. I guarantee you they did not pay zero in federal taxes. If any of these companies paid $1 in payroll taxes, then they paid federal taxes. And every single one of them paid payroll taxes for every one of their employees. Plus, there's all other kinds of federal taxes that these corporations paid. They may not have paid on the profits or the income. I don't know how. Maybe it's because you set up the tax structure so they don't. Did they cheat to do this? Or is this? Remember, Joe Biden, you've been in government for what, 45 freaking years? What proposal did you have to make them pay more? Now, he said they added a 15% minimum tax on the corporation's profits or whatever. Whatever. It's not going to put a very big dent in the deficit. The idea was popularized by progressives like Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders in the 2020 campaign. Oh, great. Two of the worst people in the world. But then he vowed to not raise taxes on Americans earning $400,000 annually. Quote, now because I signed the law I signed, billionaire companies have to pay a minimum of 15%. God love them. 15%. That's less than a nurse pays. Really? In total? I doubt it. I doubt it. Anyway. The other part of that too, what did he say? He said something stupid. Oh, that thing about he literally said during his speech, no one making less than $400,000 a year will have to pay a single penny more in taxes. Well, that's already a lie. He's already passed shit that makes people pay more in taxes, federal taxes. Maybe not income taxes, although a couple of the loopholes that he took away makes people pay more in income taxes. But that is a complete another lie. Everyone is paying more in taxes thanks to Joe Biden. Then he said he's going to do a war on junk fees. Oh my God. Who cares? He's talking about, they're going to lower the cost of overdraft fees, and they're going to stop, airlines from paying, ticky-tacky fees. Whatever, and he also mentioned, what was it? He said resort fees. Like some of these hotels, they make you pay resort fees. If you're staying in a hotel that makes you pay a resort fee, I got a feeling you might not be these poor people who you're trying to help, the lower income people and middle class people who aren't spending a lot of time in hotels that make you pay resort fees. That's stupid. Then he said antitrust takes center stage. In addition to junk fees, Biden administration has been dogged in addressing antitrust concerns, a point the president stressed in his State of the Union. Biden issued an executive order in October allowing hearing aids to be sold over the counter. Oh my gosh. Oh, thank Lordy, thank you that I can buy a hearing aid over the counter without a prescription. So what? You know how, oh my God. Is that gonna help us lower the deficit, Joe? I don't know. And then he said, look, capitalism without competition is not capitalism. It's extortion. Who is it that causes... Oh my God. So anyway, I'm going to read the next line first. The White House used the line in November when Ticketmaster's parent company Live Nation botched the rollout of tickets for Taylor Swift's Eras tour, prompting an antitrust probe. The company was later grilled by members of the Senate Judiciary Committee for antitrust practices. Hey, you know who signed the deal to have her tickets sold exclusively at Ticketmaster? Taylor freaking Swift. It's not an antitrust issue. She made the deal with Ticketmaster. Otherwise, you'd have been able to go and buy tickets for Taylor Swift at a lot of different places. But she coined a deal with Ticketmaster that paid her a shit ton of money just so they could sell those tickets. Goddamn. Taylor Swift causes national furor over ticket prices. Oh, my God. And then he talked about the Protecting Rights to Organized Act, which restores employers' rights to unionize without retaliation, or employees' rights to unionize without retaliation. I'm bound to get a response from my friends on the left, but the right, referring to Republicans, I'm so sick and tired of companies breaking the law by preventing workers from organizing. Pass the PRO Act. Okay. There's the idea that companies are preventing workers from organizing. Often that's because there are people working at that company that don't want to be part of a union. Some do, some don't. They have that fight. But the idea that the companies are preventing them, I don't think so. Except maybe Amazon, who just will close a plant and move it somewhere else because they can afford to. But anyway, and then he also expanding the insulin price cap. Drug prices were again top of mind for Biden. The president called for broadening the $35 price cap on insulin passed in the Inflation Reduction Act, the most misnomered act in history. So he was talking about insulin. But, you forget that Biden basically repealed the executive order from the guy with the funny hair that already lowered the prices of drugs, including insulin, the first day he got in office. So then he could complain about the high cost of insulin, and now he's the savior by lowering the price of insulin, which was already lowered by the guy before him that he changed. Did you follow that? Anyway. And so anyway, that article's in here. That's from the CNBC. The Washington Post decided to talk about the people who were combative. In Daily Caller, Biden goes off script and shouts about changing places with Xi Jinping. Okay, this was one of the bingo cards. Who was it? There's a guy on Twitter called Brick Suit, because he wears a suit that looks brick pattern on it. And he put out a bingo card. And one of the things on the bingo card was whether or not Biden goes off script yelling at something incomprehensibly, which was pretty that's a pretty good possibility that was going to happen. So here's his moment off script. This is hilarious.
Autocracy has grown weaker, not stronger. Name me a world leader who changed places with Xi Jinping. Name me one. Name me one. America's rallying.
Now, it's interesting because I'm going to play this one more time. I'm looking at Kamala Harris and Kevin McCarthy. They don't look like they're really paying attention. Look at it. Watch them in the background.
Autocracy has grown weaker, not stronger. Name me a world leader who changed places with Xi Jinping. Name me one.
I think they're being very careful not to react because they would
America's
be like,
rallying.
they'd be like, I'd be like, do you know what he's talking about? I don't know what he's talking about. You know what he's talking about? I don't fucking know. I have no idea what the hell he's saying. Yeah, so there was times he went off scripts. Doesn't world leader would happily change positions with Xi Jinping. Unfortunately, Biden shouldn't have blurted out that confusing and bungled ad lib on China. Yes, because he goes off script. It's scary. Also at Fox News, President State of the Union report card ratings from former speechwriters are in. Let's see. David Wylazal, he was the former speechwriter for Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, gives it a D. David Litt, Biden was the adult in the room. He's the former President Obama's speechwriter, senior speechwriter. He said Biden deserved a solid A on his speech. You can read these. Jonathan Broditsky, he's the former speechwriter for Attorney General Bill Barr and co-founder of the DC-based public relations firm and literary agency Athos, gave Biden a C+, saying his performance was not confident and inspiring, but did promote some bipartisan ideas. It did. Robert Noel, speechwriter for, former speechwriter for Secretary Mike Pompeo. They like Mike Pompeo's speechwriters. Also gave it a C+. He said the right words on bipartisanship, and compared to previous outings, his delivery seemed sincere and energetic, but the rhetoric was a total rehash of shit that he said before. So FTG to all, FTG David Litt. Let's see. Washington Free Beacon, the panda in the room. This is a good article. Biden's silent on the Chinese balloon. Actually, he did make a reference to it. which is interesting that they say he was silent on it. President Joe Biden, during his Tuesday night address to the nation, made no mention of the Chinese spy balloon that his administration allowed to traverse the continental United States just last week, a major international incident that has dominated the attention of the American public. Now, here it is. Here's the line he said. This absolutely is reference to it. They even put it in the article. He said, this is Biden speaking, as we made clear last week, China threatens our sovereignty. We will act to protect our country, and we did. Again, this is why I'm having the old, did they put that balloon up there just so he could shoot it down so he could mention it in the State of the Union address? Because everyone says Biden kowtows to China. In this case, he didn't kowtow to China. He shot down the balloon after the balloon crossed the entire nation, getting plenty of data and asset information, and then he shot it down to say he could say that we did. We acted to protect our country. We just don't know. That's putting my tinfoil hat on. I'm just saying. In the Daily Wire, nonsensical random yelling, Biden criticized for fumbles and repeated lies in the State of the Union speech. Molly Hemingway, I know the lies are coming so fast and furiously, so incoherently, it's hard to keep track. But did he just claim his wife is a full-time teacher? He did say that. He said his wife was a full-time teacher. Didn't mention anything about his wife kissing the second gentleman, though. Is anyone else having trouble understanding exactly what he's trying to say? It's a weird combo of mumbling and speed reading. Can't quite make it out. Yeah, he was talking so fast. I think they were really trying to keep him on a track because, Adderall fades after a little period of time. But yeah, this is that him and then this him yelling at China again.
Autocracy has grown weaker, not stronger. Name me a world leader who changed places with Xi Jinping. Name me one.
Okay, nobody knows. Make no mistake. Oh, here's one that we have no idea what he was saying here.
Make no mistake. If you try anything to raise the cost of producing jobs, I will veto it.
What? What?
Make no mistake. If you try anything to raise the cost of producing jobs, I will veto.
Of what?
Raise the cost of producing jobs, I will.
Try to raise the cost of.
Raise the cost of producing jobs.
Jobs. Well, I don't. If someone tries to raise the cost of jobs, I'll be pissed off too. I'm just saying. Anyway, do they have any other ones? Okay, so anyway, he had a lot of those. There was a lot of times he just didn't understand what the fuck he just said. So anyway, Daily Caller, Joe Biden. Oh, is this a joke? Biden said, oh, this is the one. Listen to this. This is, okay. I want your reaction to this. I'm really late, but that's okay. We're going to play it. Oh, there's going to be an ad. No, I don't want an ad.
Bed burned 40.
All right, now we're going to skip the ad.
Talked to a couple of them. They say, we're afraid you're going to shut down all the oil wells and all the oil refineries anyway.
Listen
so why
carefully.
should we invest in them? I said, we're going to need oil for at least another decade. And that's going to exceed and beyond that. We're going to need.
Now wait. Did you hear what he said? I'm going to make this. Oh, I can't. Listen to this again because he's talking about, clean energy or whatever. And he's talking about the oil companies and how they raked in all the profits and they're not reinvesting and yada, yada. He blamed the oil companies for not reinvesting into drilling and production, right? Except he's restricted production. He's basically lowered the production of refineries, but blaming the oil companies because they're not reinvesting in production. But listen to this again. Listen to this, what he says here.
And when I talk to a couple of them, they say we're afraid.
He's talking about the oil companies. I talked to a couple of the oil companies.
You're going to shut down all the oil wells and all the oil refineries anyway, so why should we invest in them? I said, we're going to need oil for at least another decade. And that's going to exceed and beyond that.
Now, even Kamala Harris is having a hard time not laughing. We're going to need oil for at least another decade. Joe. Oh, and yeah, Brazilian. Yeah, there's a lot of mumbling in this one, too.
Production. if they had in fact invested in the production to keep gas prices down. Instead, they used the record profits to buy back their own stock, rewarding the CEOs and shareholders. Corporations ought to do the right thing.
If they had invested in production. Hello, Joe? There's something wrong there. All right. And then the last few I got here, Biden previous re-election campaign in a one-sided appeal for bipartisanship. That's in the Washington Free Beacon. In Breitbart, John Fetterman, by the way, brought a convicted murderer to the State of the Union. Freshman Senator John Fetterman, Pennsylvania, brought a convicted murderer to the State of the Union address on Tuesday. The convict received a commuted sentence thanks in large parts to Pennsylvania Board of Pardons, which Fetterman used to oversee. Dennis Horton was found guilty of second-degree murder along with his brother Lee Horton, stemming from a 1993 fatal shooting during a Philadelphia robbery, as Breitbart News reported. They both maintained their innocence throughout their prison terms, which lasted nearly 3 decades before they were granted clemency by then-Governor Tom Wolf in 2021 at the recommendation of the state's 5-person Board of Pardons, chaired by then Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman. So I don't know. And then he wrote, and I'm honored and privileged to introduce Dennis Freedom Horton as my guest of the State of the Union. Dennis and his brother Lee Horton were incarcerated for nearly 28 years for a crime they did not commit. There's no evidence that their sentence wasn't overturned because they didn't commit the crime. So I wonder if it makes sense. Okay, here. A 2021 appeal filing the Superior Court of Pennsylvania cited the Court of Commons Pleas of Philadelphia County summary of the facts underlying Dennis Horton's convictions. It reads as follows. The evidence adduced at trial established that on May 13, 1993, Horton, his brother Lee Horton, and a co-conspirator, Robert Leaf, robbed Filito's Bar located at 5th Street and Hunting Park Avenue. During the course of the robbery, Horton, who was carrying a rifle, shot Samuel Alimo multiple times. Alimo later died from his gunshot wounds. Horton also shot Lutz Archella and her daughter, Luz Martinez, injuring both. Leaf brandished what appeared to be a black pistol while Lee took money from the bar patrons. After leaving the bar, the 3 men fled in a blue automobile. A passerby was able to supply police with a description of the vehicle and a partial license plate number. A radio call was sent out, which included a description of the 3 assailants, their vehicle, and their last 4 digits of the license plate. A police officer observed the vehicle a short time later, only a mile from the crime scene, and placed Horton and his companions under arrest. Police recovered a .22 caliber semi-automatic rifle from the back seat of the car, as well as a black pellet gun under the front passenger seat. Ballistics testing identified the rifle as the same weapon used during the robbery at Filito's. Horton, Lee, and Leaf, who was wearing an orange hooded sweatshirt at the time of his arrest, were taken to the hospital where Martinez and her daughter, as well as other bar patrons, Miguel de Jesus, identified them as the robbers. So, eyewitnesses, same night, same time, partial license plate number. I mean, he was convicted. He claims he never did it. If you shoot somebody in the course of a robbery and they die, you do get charged with murder. I'm sorry, that's how it works. And that's the summary. That summary has never been changed. There's been never any other other version of that article. All right. Last one, Biden blamed. Oh, also during the State of the Union, he blamed the attack on Paul Pelosi on Trump's election fraud claims. Joe Biden blamed the attack on Representative Nancy Pelosi's husband on former President Donald Trump election fraud claims. The man who allegedly attacked Paul Pelosi, Dave DePape, is an illegal immigrant who expressed a mix of fringe political views across the political spectrum. Biden goes, for the past few years, our democracy has been threatened, attacked, and put at risk. Put to the test in this very room on January 6th. And then just a few months ago, unhinged by the big lie, an assailant unleashed political violence in the home of then Speaker of this House Representatives, using the very same language that insurrectionists who stalked these halls chanted on January 6th. And then he has Paul Pelosi stand up. In the immortal words of James Stewart, the great actor Jimmy Stewart, That's bullshit. I'm sorry. The Canadian illegal immigrant who lived in a commune and it was a part-time nudist living in a bus. And I'm sure he was just a MAGA fucking freak, except he couldn't even vote in the United States. And he lives in California. You know, California. What a bunch of bullshit. All right. I got to go, but let me read these super chats before I get out of here. I also have in the links Donald Trump's response to the State of the Union, which I don't have time to get to. And then the last thing here is Sarah Huckabee's article about Sarah Huckabee's speech, which we already watched. So thank you for that. Let me get to these last two super chats and I got to get out of here. Thank you, Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
For sponsoring the show. Black Hebrew Israelite dropping a small bullet in the tip jar. Who says, I served under 3 presidents in the military. I told my family not to join the military under this president. Thanks to COVID madness, the pushing of transgender acceptance that violate uniform standards, maybe that's why recruitment is so low.
That's right.
Thank you, Black Hebrew Israelite. And Horatio Nelson, welcome. I don't know if I've ever seen you here. I know you've been here, but good to see you. Dropping a small bullet in the tip jar who says, first time catching you live. HB sent me. Congrats on 1K. I'll be lurking in your Discord to get a hold of you. By the way, did you ever cover this story? Any links? Well, let's see what this is. What is this story? Oh, the chicken wing lady. Yeah, we did. I'll put that in the links. But yes, suburban. This is the story of the suburban school worker who stole $1.5 million of chicken wings. Oh, Lord, that is something else. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining me today on the Morning Night Live. I'll be here Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, most days of the week. That's me Monday through Friday. And also, please, if you haven't done so, hit the like button before you go. Share the stream. You can sponsor the show at pdognight.live. That's the Streamlabs version, or YouTube Super Chats, or Venmo Cash App. If you're watching on replay, tell me what you think of the thought of the State of the Union address. Ladies and gentlemen, I gotta go. Thank you very much. My name is P. Dawg Knight, and I am out of here. Bye. Bye. Have a great day. Hey, this is P-Dawg Knight, and thank you for watching today on the P-Dawg Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dawg Knight, and I'm out of here.